Hello, good evening, and welcome to the United Stand. It's a very interesting evening, an exciting evening for plenty of United fans. But look, I'm excited to be here. My name is Levin2K. I'm joined by three lovely, amazing, beautiful, handsome, wonderful guests who I'm looking forward to hearing from. We got the amazing Jay. How you doing tonight?
Hey man, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to see you. We got my guy Alex down below me.
Yeah, all right, guys. Looking forward to it.
Alex is always excited, And then we got Mr. Genuinely himself, Joe, in the bottom corner there. How you doing, Joe?
I have to say, this is why I love when Levin's hosts, because it's just the best compliments ever. Do you know, he opens with about 15 adjectives and then he gives us all one individually. Do you know, it's just beauty. It's just beauty. Thank you, Levin.
I try. But look, let's get to why we're all here. Jadon Sancho to Manchester United is here we go. You know, confirmed this afternoon or sort of this evening, right? It's been a crazy 24 hours because obviously yesterday you have the Sancho or the Rashford tweets and everything, and, you know, people talking about the deal being so imminent and whatnot. You know, this morning you get United, you know, showing off the new kit, the new alternate kit, the blue kit that looks all snazzy, and that's all over social media. And then you get Christian Falk, who is a very reliable reporter out of Germany, saying that the deal is agreed in principle. And then a couple minutes later, you have the here we go from Romano. And I think instantly, you know, crazy, just an absolute frenzy. Exactly what we sort of expected from this deal if it had been done last summer or whenever. You just always knew the reaction to this deal was going to be absolutely insane. But now that, you know, Jadon Sancho is actually a Manchester United player after all the back and forth, after the 18 months or whatever of negotiations, I want to know how you guys finally feel about the situation now that it is somewhat resolved. And I want to start off with Jay, because I think, you know, Jay is somebody who, you know, can have an opinion that might not be, you know, a favorited opinion, but he can always back it. So I want to hear from you, Jay.
Okay, Levin, first of all, I've got to support this with the fact that I am glad Sancho was signed.
Okay.
And I think he's going to be finally filling that gap on the right-hand side that's been left there since Ronaldo left for Madrid all those years ago. So it was something we need to make. Was it the right time to make it? Probably not. But like every transfer dealing under Glazers, the good has been sucked out of it. It's like that old ad for dog food where I think it was Pedigree Chum had an ad for dog food years ago where the dog is sucking the marrow from the bone, and the club negotiation team, the marketing department, have definitely sucked the marrow from the bone of this signing. I think last week a lot of apathy had set in the fan base, and it was very obvious from what we've seen on all our Twitter feeds. And to be fair, Mark did do a very good video last week on it, and it made us see, you know, the kind of player we're getting, because it's very easy to overlook the standard player we're getting. Sancho is potentially world class. He's not there yet. Gareth Southgate certainly doesn't think so. That's another story. So we have a potential world class player to come in and provide ammunition for Cavani, Rashford and Greenwood and fill that hole on the right hand side. And also I think as well, the signing of Sancho will make us see a lot more from Aaron Bissaka, because all last season, Aaron Bissaka essentially didn't know from one week to the next who's going to play ahead of him on the right. So I think from that, it's a positive. But let's not lose sight of the fact, and I think, Levin, you alluded to it at the start of the show, the club dropped the third jersey today, the blue jersey, and I could already see on social media, sheep fans losing their rag because there's a new jersey. And then today we have our new signing. So it is a very cold and calculating approach by the Glazers. It's certainly a signing that they're making to try and quieten down the impetus of the Glazers out movement. And I think for a lot of the worldwide fans, this signing will actually work. And the protest that happened there back in May will be forgotten by a lot of the fan base. And that is, I think, why this signing was finally done now before the transfer window begins in earnest in July.
Okay, I think you make a lot of solid points there. I think we have plenty of time. We're going to go back and forth on a lot of these things. I think, you know, I think there's another Irishman here who maybe has a similar opinion, but maybe a bit more of a positive spin on things. And so I want to hear from him. He's smiling away. Joe, react to the day. I want you to react. Let me know your initial thoughts when seeing things today.
Look, it's nice to be happy when you're a Man United fan because it is really rare. Even when stuff looks like it's going to be going the way you want it to go, like winning Europa League final, it gets taken away to you the last second. So for the fact it's been 2 years plus that we've been in the hunt for Sancho and we finally have him, and we have him relatively early in the window because I thought this was either going to happen 2-3 weeks ago or it was going to be like the last day of the window. So for the fact that it's happened now, the Euros are still going on. We have still Varane in our foresight. We have a few other players that we're still looking at. It shows this the beginning of the window and not the end, the kind of saving grace to be like, look, we got one player. We got the first player. We're going to get 2 or 3 more. So I'm really happy about that. I completely get what everything Jay is saying. I rarely disagree with him on points when it comes to how terrible our board is. But it's calculating and stuff like that. I hope no one is suckered into buying a new jersey, and I hope that is, but I do agree across the board. I don't know if that's going to happen, but at the end of the day, we are getting a future world-class talent. We are getting someone now who is close to being world-class, who I believe will be in world-class in a couple of years' time, and who will open defenses that we have been lacking to do, especially in low block over the last couple of seasons. I'm so excited to have Sancho at the club. And I think the only shame is that he hasn't been showing off what he can do with the Euros at all, but that's down to Southgate. But I'm really, really happy this is done now. I was terrified it was going to be until after the Euros, but I'm glad that it's basically done. Just have to wait for medical, but yeah, this is great news. I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, well, you are happy. Alex, are you the same? Are you feeling really happy about this tonight?
I am happy that it's done, but I'm a bit like at a stage where I'm kind of nonplussed in the sense that this should have been done already last year, and it just feels like we've been talking, like all the fans, even since last year, as if he's already our player and for so long. And then the start of this summer, we knew it was going to be done. I won't get a Sancho shirt, don't I? But with regards to getting it done, I am happy that it's done at the very, very start of the summer. It seems I saw Fabrizio was saying that we've set up like a new structure with our recruitment. I don't know like fully what he's talking about with that, but I guess it means with Murto coming in, and that our like new plan is to move a lot quicker with players. I mean, with Sancho, it's a bit hard to tell that, considering I think a lot of the work had already been done last summer. But It does surprise me that we spent the 40 million on Ahmad last summer, because that made me think, okay, they're taking the cheaper option and then maybe they won't sign Sancho. So in terms of depth, it's absolutely brilliant to have now on that right-hand side Ahmad, who's going to hopefully get a lot more chances this summer, and then Sancho. The one minor thing that worries me is the whole number thing. Like, realistically, it shouldn't matter what number you are, but with Sancho taking Cavani's number, I hope Cavani isn't the sort of player that affects, like we saw with Martial when Zlatan came in, that obviously it upset the apple cart, and I hope that isn't the same with Cavani. I personally would have just waited a year and left Cavani a 7 and given Sancho a different number now, and then given Sancho 7 next summer. But we always talk every single summer about like these new kit launches, always saving a signing for the new kit launch, and it never actually happens. And then this time it does actually look like it's going to happen. So it looks like it's going to be like a marketing dream with Build saying that United are actually going to announce the deal tomorrow. Obviously, we can't do the photo shoot and stuff, but you always see other clubs, we don't really do it, but that they, like, when the players away at the World Cup or the Euros, they send them the shirt or whatever. So it wouldn't surprise me if from the England camp, you see like a picture of Sancho in like the new United shirt to like promote it and stuff like that, like him and Rashford, maybe something like that. But what I want to know is, what do you guys think with regards to Martial now? Obviously, there was rumours of him being potentially put up for sale. Do you guys think that with Sancho coming in, that does spell the end for Martial? And then likewise with the number, that could mean that Cavani then gets to number 9 and we sell Martial?
Alex, I like what you said there, and I do think we will get onto Martial. I want to slow down a bit, just because I think there's a lot more on the Sancho topic, and I like where we're sort of heading towards with the shirt conversations and whatnot. By the way, thank you for all the super chats coming in. Be sure to get them in, guys. Let us know what you think of the Jadon Sancho deal finally being done. Gary Turner came in here saying, actually, I believe Dortmund have shot themselves in the foot acting big. They should have taken what was offered. And, you know, that whole conversation is a big one, right? In terms of people talking about, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. But there's people actually giving the Glazers and the board a load of credit for this idea that, oh, look, they saved 30 odd mil. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they saved 30 mil. Like, yeah, give them props. Do you know what I mean? They waited a year and they saved 30 mil. Dortmund look like idiots now. I'm not a fan of it. I personally am not a fan of it. I don't think we should be giving them credit for being rejected and not getting the deal done. I want to know what you think.
Because Levins, if we had spent the extra 30 million, there's every possibility we would have won at least, a trophy and have been maybe closer, maybe even taken over City. Because Sancho is a borderline world-class player. You pay the extra 30 million, there's every possibility we are doing a lot better on all fronts. Players arrested, players don't get injured because he is in the team. So no credit goes to the Glazers. They just wanted to save money. It's not my money. It's not our money. They should have spent the money.
We wouldn't have signed Ahmad either, I don't think. If we signed Sancho,
yeah, that was to appease fans as well. So I don't give them any credit whatsoever. We're the richest club in the world, and we spend like Burnley basically trying to save as many pennies as possible. So no credit, and please don't give them credit. If you're in the comments, give them credit. Please don't, please.
Guys, on that point of giving the club credit, tonight I saw on my Twitter feed the Manchester Evening News, and I quote, "Give John Arnold a knighthood." That was the lead in their article. And I felt like that scene in Zoolander, Mugatu. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Now, we know the Manchester Evening News are a mouthpiece for the club.
Yeah.
And for that newspaper to come out with that headline, and underneath then all the Sancho palaver, I was like, oh my God. The amount of fans that are going to buy into this narrative now, oh my God, haven't the Glazers done well? Haven't they made this amazing signing for us? Hats off the Glazers. I'm sorry, guys. That's complete another bullshit.
Yeah.
And any fan that believes that, you need to seriously go and take a look at yourself. The Glazers have been a parasite in this club for the last 16 years, removing 1.5 billion of your money, okay? Yeah. And they've been taking out an average of 8 million per year on dividends for the last 16 years, even in the COVID. Okay, and also, guys, this season just gone, Joel Glazer made this big song and dance at the fan forum that we're going to pay off the fines that we have been saddled with because of the failed Super League. But those fines, guys, they're paying them from the dividends they took from the club to begin with. So it's not coming out of their pocket. So anyone that thinks now, after this deal been pulled off, that the Glazers should be forgiven somewhat or forgiven wholeheartedly, not a bloody chance. Okay? And so any newspaper that comes out with any palaver or give John Arnold a knighthood, oh my God. Like I said, I did not believe what I was looking at today, but there you go. That's the club for you.
Yeah.
Spin.
Yeah, right, Jay.
No, I get you. And look, I'll be the last person to give the Glazers credit, but in my role today, I will try and play devil's advocate where I can and where it's reasonable. And I'd put this to you, Jay, because I know you're incredibly passionate about it, like we all are. This is obviously not enough. This isn't enough to start giving the Glazers credit. I 100% agree with that. What is it now going to take to get you on side, right? What is it now going to take? Because at the end of the day, that's what they want, right? Because they have made it clear they don't have any intention of leaving the club. They want to remain the owners. What is it going to take for them to get to the stage where you accept, look, I don't like these guys. They've been horrible for how many ever years, but at least they're doing what they should have been doing now. Because, we got super chats coming in. We got a chat from Phil Saunders who says, Sancho done, need a centre-back and a CDM now. Right. And it's like, if they were to deliver that, would that be enough for you? Like, what is it going to take for them to get you on side?
There's just a super chat here as well. Somebody said, Martial instead of Cavani, ? We can discuss that in a while. That's going to be an interesting one.
A quick one, I think.
A quick one, yeah. Okay, Levin, the Glazers had the audacity to call the likes of me, quote unquote, a legacy fan. And my generation of fans were easily replaced with millions of fans from the Pacific subcontinent, Australia and America. They don't care about so-called legacy fans. So basically for me, Levin, and I'll be very honest here, there's nothing the Glazers could do. There's no player they can sign or bunch of players they can sign that would make me forgive the last 16 years and how the club has been run to the ground. I don't care who to sign. The only way I'll be happy, and it's not going to happen anytime soon, is them to sell the club. But they won't sell the club because the club for them is a cash cow. And I don't know if you saw there on Twitter, Joe Glazer put up a picture on Father's Day, and he had the teeniest, tiniest little Father's Day card. Okay, so scrimping and saving even on a Father's Day card, that's just ingrained in their mentality. It's pinch the pennies and save the pounds, and that's what they've been doing to our club for 16 years, Levin, Joe and Alex, and everybody watching. So nothing that they can do would make me forgive what they've done to our club, and it is our club. Let's not lose sight of that. It's our club over the last 16 years. Nothing they can do.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. So I'm going to shift it a bit, right? I'm going to change it now, right? Shift the focus here. So the Glazers, they're in the mud. There's nothing they can do, understandably. For a while now, we've not liked the way the club's been run, even the step below the Glazers, the people who, handle business, the people who are in charge of, handing out these contracts, getting deals done. The club has tried to suggest that there is a, restructure there and how things are done with, obviously, John Mertzer being, pushed into that director of football role and whatnot. At what point, right? If nothing can help you to get, the Glazers in a position where you accept them, what can these guys do? The people who are actually managing the club on a day-to-day basis, what can they do to get you on side then? This is to anyone. I want to know from all of you guys on this one.
I'll let Joe go first. Joe, you go first.
Okay.
This should be good.
Well, the only thing that they can do, and I'm going to be a bit more. Maybe it's my Catholic upbringing, how far I fall from that. It's like a little bit open to forgiveness to everyone at the club from the higher up down, is to, over the course of 10 years, invest in refurbishing the stadium, invest in the youth system, invest in proper coaching, but also save like the likes of Bury and Macclesfield, clubs from around Manchester area, and do what you can to actually save or at least invest in football and invest in the area of Manchester that they're in. Not just leave everything to rag and ruin and basically everything they're doing now. There is a redemption story there, but it's over the course of 10, 15 years. And it is seeing the light of what has happened and just trying to do better. I am open for that, but I really don't think it's ever going to happen. I think it's all small time. It's all 6 months down the line. It's all what can keep the fans happy so they don't see what we're really doing behind the scenes. So for me, I don't actually think there is a happy outcome here, but I can pray and I can hope that one day there will be. But that for me is all that can be done, but I really don't think there is anything.
But I'm going to quickly jump in. Gary Tanner, thank you very much for joining the members club. Guys, be sure to join the channel if you so please, and get your super chats, keep them rolling in. Regardless of what you think of tonight, it's an exciting time because we bring in a really talented player. And I think as long as this isn't the only thing that's done, I think there's room for optimism there. Alex, I really want to know from you, right? Right? What do you do next? Right? We've heard reports that, United are now going all out for a centre-back. We want to get a centre-back in. We know that person is reportedly going to be Varane. What do you do as director of football? Director of football, Alex, what do you do next?
Well, I really hope these Varane links are true, and that's who I'd be targeting as well. But we've discussed on the show so many times that the main person who I would have brought in, or the main position rather, would have been the defensive mid. So if we do sort out this centre-back situation, then we have to go for a defensive mid. Obviously, we were linked with Camavinga the other day, but I just really hope it's not just links with these sort of players and we do actually sign them. I think Varane, if we had Varane and Maguire, I think that is a brilliant defence alongside Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, and then obviously you possibly add Trippier in there, and then with Tellers, obviously we have good depth. And I kind of like the way that they've been the last few years, whether it's down to the Glazers, Woodward, whoever it is, how they've been took like a new transfer strategy. It's obviously like a long-term thinking one of how they've been targeting all like the best youth players from across the world, and so they get like a Sancho before he turns into like the Dortmund version of Sancho, so like get him from like City, like that sort of thing. So we saw obviously with McNeil, we've done it with Hannibal, with Ahmad, players like that, Palestri, and we haven't really got to the stage yet in terms of growth that we've actually started to see the fruits of the labour. But in the next year or two, we should be starting to see that. And I think it is a really good strategy if they target all these top players. So I want to continue doing that. And yes, I'm Brand. The investment in the training facilities has to go up. We started to lose now all like the top youngsters to City, because they have obviously the state-of-the-art training facilities. We saw with Zlatan when he was at the club, he put his son in City's academy rather than ours, which is kind of a slap in the face. It just shows the absolute levels. And I think like with McNeil, he was obviously killing it at City. I think the only reason we actually got him away from City is because he actually supports United. But then also likewise, we actually do give the youth a chance. So we just need to, that's always been such a core element of the club, of investing in youth. And you saw with the training facilities as well, I can't remember, was it Casey Stone, is it? The women's manager left because of how terrible the conditions were. And like the Man United women's team was doing absolutely brilliant. And then they've just had to take a massive step back with her leaving because of how bad the conditions are. So if they're like that for the women, I assume for the youth teams it is as well. So it's only the first team really that has it in good condition. And obviously we've talked about the doing up Old Trafford. The other day they were giving it a jet hose, so I don't know if that's just as far as they're gonna push the boat out just with the jet hose in the top of it. But obviously give it a lick of paint and then just update it all around. But we'll see. Actions speak louder than words. I think that they will actually spend this summer, because last summer was an absolute disgrace. And so any spending they do this summer, you have to kind of think, well, we spent absolutely nothing last summer, so they should have money to spend even with COVID.
No, they made an excuse for that, didn't they? He came out, I thought one of the Glazers came out and said that we've been hit so bad that
it was like a thing to the shareholders, right? Like it was something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
I saw before that like match day revenue is like such a small portion of our annual revenue anyway, so they're chatting shit. Like you get way more money from like the TV revenue than match day revenue.
Yeah. Well, we got a super chat in here from Hosni who says, if we do go all out for a centre back, but Pogba ends up leaving towards the end of the window, our hands will be tied with no real options. And it's actually interesting, right? Because I think a lot of people are sort of, reacting to the Sancho deal as, this is the biggest deal of the summer and whatnot. I heard Mark say on the show earlier when he was live, like the biggest deal of the summer is Pogba. And I want to know what you guys feel about that, right? Like getting the Pogba situation sorted. Do you guys think that we haven't actually done our biggest deal of the summer? Like there is still a lot to be done. I want to hear from Jay. Sorry.
It's okay.
You look like you just had plenty to say. So
no, it's just that on a lot of shows, people criticize me for butting in and talking too much and taking too much airtime.
No,
so
don't worry.
I'm most mindful of that.
You're fine. You're fine.
The Pogba deal, is Pogba worth 400,000 per week? No. Has he done enough to warrant a bumper 4 or 5 year contract? No. Is he our best player? He's one of. Should we offer him a deal? Yes, we should. But at the end of the day, we know full well that his agent, Managerial, doesn't really want him to sign a contract. He wants him to sit out the last year of that contract and then sign a bumper deal with Juve, Real next season when Real actually have money. So the problem here isn't so much Paul Pogba, it's Managerial. And the best thing that happened to Paul Pogba is his performances in the Euros for France. Paul Pogba, for me, he was one of France's best players, no question about it. And I think he's added another 10 million, ironically, into transfer value. But with a year left in his contract, what club is going to pay us 55, 65 million euros for him? They're not with a year left. So he signs for extortionate wages. If he does sign extortionate wages, how many of the fans are prepared to watch Paul Pogba for another 4 years, being consistent? Okay, because let's be fair, guys, in my opinion, his body of work for us over the last 4 years has been consistent. No doubt the potential is there. But when are we going to see the potential from Paul Pogba that we're waiting to see for the last 4 years, week in, week out? I know people are going to say in the comments, oh, but with France, he's gotten Ndidi beside him. France play in a different formation. And this season, yes, we did see better from Paul Pogba out in the wing, but Solskjaer said himself numerous times he won't play him in the centre of the park because he doesn't have the energy. But then Solskjaer shoots himself in the foot and hasn't been looking for a CDM, last season or this season. So the only way to play Paul Pogba is to get rid of Fred or Martinelli, sign a world-class CDM, and pay Paul Pogba the big money. So this Paul Pogba situation, this is a massive conundrum. It really, really is. And I don't have an answer to it.
Well, Jay, I think the big thing with Pogba, right, you mentioned how, like, obviously he was playing on the left last season. I think the big thing with that was, you had another sort of, playmaker higher up the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And Sancho gives you that instantly, right? And so it's like, if we're not going to play Pogba in the pivot, if he doesn't trust Pogba to play in the pivot, we're in that dilemma, like you said. We got more super chats coming in. We got more members joining. Shout out to Phil Saunders, who joined the channel as a member. Welcome to the club. Look, a lot of people giving you your props in chat there, Jay. They're saying you're speaking facts, and I hear it because, the big thing with Sancho that I've sort of just been thinking about is he will be forced, if we end up keeping Pogba for the next season, or we sign him on, or we extend his contract, whatever it is, he's going to be forced to play him in the pivot. You can't play him out wide anymore. So are we going to sign a DM for him to play next to? Or like, is he just all of a sudden going to trust him to play next to Fred or McTominay when he could have done it last season but didn't? And you know what I mean, there's so many question marks that come with that. Joe, you look at.
But Levin, we had the perfect foil beside Paul Pogba, and there was Ander Herrera, who a lot of fan base did not get what Ander Herrera did on the pitch until Herrera left.
Yeah.
And Herrera left simply because United, he's in the final year of his contract, wouldn't pay the wages he wanted. PSG jumped in and gave him the wages he wanted, and we lost Ander Herrera, and we didn't replace Ander Herrera. Matic, as we know, he's the best CM at the club, but he's in a twilight of his career. The Matic Herrera Pogba axis that actually worked in, I would argue, in order for a season. Second season, then Matic beside Pogba and Bruno up top, that worked. But the Fred with Pogba or Martinelli with Pogba, neither of that partnership works. It does not work. Yeah. So if you are keeping Pogba, you have to sign a CDM. There's no question about it. It's so goddamn obvious.
But do you think they're scared, though, of that with the Herrera thing? Because I remember, even though it wasn't as negative as I think it should have been, when Herrera left, like, there was people like, how are we letting Herrera go? Do you know what I mean? And I think, there's a chance that if they were to let that happen with Pogba again, it'd be even more. We know how, like, the fan base is now, where you have people who just support players individually. Like, you're going to have, if Pogba walks on the free, like, it's not going to be received well. Do you think maybe they're scared of that? Like, that alone, because Pogba's an asset in terms of just his brand. We know they like to treat it like a business and whatnot. Pogba as a brand is massive. They're scared to lose him. You know what I mean? They're scared to lose him on the free again.
Yeah. Like, 100%. Like, the nuclear scenario is they lose Pogba twice on frees. Once under Alex Ferguson and once under Solskjaer. And that's nuclear scenario. And, and for his marketability and the traction that he gets on social media, obviously that's a massive, massive part of the business ethos of the club. So for that reason alone, financially, they can't afford to lose him on a free.
Yeah.
And if he stays next season, we all know what's going to happen. He's going to get injured, and he would take his time coming back from any injury to protect himself, which is exactly what any athlete would do in the final year of their contract. Of course they would. If you've got a sprained ankle that you come back from in 4 or 5 weeks, all of a sudden, no, I'm going to sit here and come back in 8 weeks. I'm going to protect myself. So if he stays, and says the contract, that for me, that's going to lead to a lot of problems next season. It really is.
Yeah. Jay, sorry, not Jay. Sorry, Joe. You said you look like you wanted to say something. I want to hear what you.
It's a really annoying thing, this whole Pogba situation, because the fact is, like, I'm going to echo a lot of what Jay said, just in a slightly younger accent. With Pogba, like, there is literally no point in signing him a new contract unless you buy a CDM. And I actually don't think Pogba wants to sign a new contract unless we buy, whether it's a world-class centre-back or else a CDM to go in beside him. But, like, there is no benefit there was no benefit to sign a Pogba on a new contract if he's just going to be basically what he is now, which is inconsistent because we're not playing the best formation that suits him. So like he's just going to be earning another 150, whatever it is, grand a week to just constantly be letting half the fan base down. So there is no answer to this. I feel, for me, if I was in charge, I would be putting all my eggs in the Jack Grealish basket and be like, okay, bye Pogba. Honestly, because I know myself and Jay have gone loggerheads on Grealish and Sancho before, but I don't understand why you can't get to with them. Because for me, Grealish is everything we want Pogba to be. Maybe not as naturally talented as Pogba is, or not as strong. They have different attributes, but in that position, Grealish is a creator that can be alongside Bruno, but he also puts in a shift as well and tracks back. So I'd be setting everything up to get rid of Pogba and bring in Grealish if that was me. But go for it.
I was just going to say, Joe, you said, right, you don't think there's anything that can be done about that. A lot of people in chat are calling for a system change. A lot of people saying, hey, you change the system, you play a 4-3-3. If you buy that DM, you play a solid DM, you can fit Pogba in the team better because, you know, he can play in a bit more advanced position. Do you think that could work?
I actually think it would be perfect. I think absolutely, if we did that, it would. But it's not going to happen. That's the thing. I'm looking at it from Ollie's point of view, and the only way this will change, and Pogba could sign a new contract, and it would all work out with having basically the team we have now, with Pogba included, is if Solskjaer is the manager anymore. I'm not saying that's what I want, but like we know going to this season that Ollie wants that pivot of Fred and McTominay. So with that, it makes no sense, and I don't understand it. I back Ollie just about 100%, but when it comes to this shite, I'm just like, get rid of one of them, put Pogba in his natural position, get a CDM, and everyone is happy. Everyone is happy. Do you know?
Do you not think if we actually sign like Varane or something, though, that we will just play Pogba there and he'll think because he has that extra protection in defence, then he won't. I'm not saying that I think that. I'm saying that Ollie might think that we might not necessarily need a midfielder, or you can play Pogba and Fred or Pogba and McTominay if you have a better centre-back partnership.
Well, for me, I sort of get that angle because, you know, we even have a super chat here from Wayne who says McGain will make the midfield look a lot better, right? And I think a lot of people do feel that way. But what scares me is I just watched France in the Euros. You know what I mean? And I just watched France in the Euros, and it showed even when you have great defenders at the back, you know, if your midfielders aren't willing to defend, you know, we're hearing the reports that, you know, all the French players are having beef with each other, arguing about lack of defensive effort from Pogba or Pavard or whoever it is, right? It's like, you know, even with, you know, Varane and Maguire, your midfield partnership still has to be solid. You know what I mean? It still has to be solid. So I don't know if I'm buying that. I was buying that. I did believe that, look, we get Varane, you know, the pivot won't really matter as much, but I do worry after just watching that France performance.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously they have arguably the best defensive-minded midfielder in the world in front of them as well, and they were still struggling. But yeah, it is a hard one. I feel like when it comes to the big games, if he does actually want to drop Rashford, if he's still out of form, he might just play McFred and just put Pogba on the left wing again. So we could end up being in that situation again where he's again like moved that position there. But he might at least start the season with like a Pogba and Fred, a Pogba and McTominay, and then just transfer as the season goes on. I mean, I really hope we don't, because I feel like we just lose so much in the middle when we have them two there. They basically just do the job like we always say they're doing, like one elite person's job between the two of them, and I don't think either of them are a good enough passer. If we just had like prime Matic in this team or prime Carrick, we would just be absolutely transformed. I feel like that's such a key position, and it is good that we're sort of starting to get linked to DMs now, because we really weren't at the start. So we'll have to wait and see.
Because what was confusing me, apparently, I can't remember who was reporting this, but United were after, Varane isn't sure if he wants to come to United, because apparently United are more interested in the CDM. But I haven't really seen us being linked to any CDMs kind of concretely over the course of the past few months. So I don't know where that is coming from, but maybe that's Varane just trying to stay a bit coy, seeing what way things work out. But as far as I've seen, we have not really, like Declan Rice a little bit a couple of months ago, but there's no one really that has been kind of jumping out over the past 6 weeks or whatever, saying that we're going to go for a CDM. So I'm not sure why they're reporting that.
There was some links to Calavinga there.
That's right.
Last week.
That's right.
Yeah. And there was There was Goretzka today as well, right?
Yeah.
But he's not coming.
That's a
we know
contract.
that.
He's not coming.
Yeah, we've been hurt before. We're not.
He's not going to come.
Yeah.
But does that not worry about Varane as well? Is Varane doing the same thing though? Do you know what I mean?
I think that's been going on for a while, and we've kind of been hurt by Real Madrid centre backs before, so I think we know which ones are lying and which ones are saying like, hey, it might be something here. Do you know what I mean?
No, guys. I believe if the board and a part of the B throw 16 mil on the table to Real Madrid. Take it or leave it. I think they'll bite.
We've been like
they're stone cold broke.
Yeah,
they are broke.
Signed Varane for like years. I swear, even before he went to Real Madrid, we were trying to sign him. So this like with Sancho, like even like when he just left City, we were trying to sign him. Varane is someone who we have tried to sign. The club has admired for so many years. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did do what Jay just said.
And also, guys, another point I want to touch on: the Pogba France against Switzerland. Yeah, he was at fault for one of the goals. There's no question about it. I would admit that. But I think that was down to Deschamps not showing the Swiss enough respect and playing in 3-5-2. And France don't play 3-5-2. I think Deschamps want to go out and prove a point that I'm the world champions and we're going to come out here wipe the floor with Switzerland. And I think that formational change meant that Pogba got overrun in midfield and he got shown up for his lack of energy. So I'm going to put that on the manager and not on Paul Pogba. And I've been critical of Paul Pogba very often, but that particular game, I would base that on Deschamps' formation, not so much on Paul Pogba.
Yeah, I think that was difficult, right? Because both their left backs were out, right? They had no left backs to play, which is a bit unfortunate. So, he was put in a tough situation there. Hosni coming in with another super chat. We appreciate all the super chats that we've received tonight, guys. Keep them coming in. He says, how much do we blame the manager, though? Sir Alex Ferguson always managed to let go of the players at the right time. No player should be bigger than the club. And I think that's the sentiment there. That last sentence itself is just one that should be echoed, constantly. No player is bigger than the club. Do you know what I mean? And it does. That's why it hurts when we have these conversations about, Pogba, playing games or whatever it is. It's like, even when we hear that, we're paying massive wages to players and we have to pay Pogba 600k a week or something stupid to stay. It's like, what happened to the idea that you want to come play for United? Because it's Manchester United. Of course I want to play for United. You know what I mean? That sort of feels like it's been lost. You know what I mean, Joe?
Was that Joe or Jay?
That's a Joe.
Diction.
All I heard was Joe, and I was like, that could be anyone. I know it's not Alex, but it still could be anyone. Look, unfortunately, the football we all grew up in love with is changing and morphing, and in some ways you could say it's improving, but in other ways it's really just, it kind of sucks the soul out of you. The likes of Sir Alex Ferguson will never be seen again, and like even in any capacity, and it just shows how great he was. But no one will ever have that control of from the bottom to the top, where they can literally go like the likes of Yap Sam or someone like that, who is like the most talismanic player. He's a bad example because he said he should have never sold him. But the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy will say, where it's like, no, he's getting too big, he's gone. And there's no one from the top going like, oh, well, we need him for this, we need him for this. It's like, no, it's literally like the manager says, I want him gone, this is it. 6 months' time, whenever the next window's open, it's going to happen. It's just the way, unfortunately, like hopefully we'll never get to a stage where a player is literally bigger than the club, but they've so much power. A contract is not worth anything anymore. So it's really just not it's a depressing time to be a football fan. There's a time to the Euros. Like I put up a post the other day about Marcus Rashford saying that we should kind of congratulate him. I feel he went to the Euros knowing he would be used as a bench player, like coming on because he's struggling with injury, and he could have gone for surgery now when he would have been available for United. But like to give that up, to be like, I want to be there for my nation, I think is huge. And like if any Irish player did the same thing, like it'd just be, we've such a bad, not talk about Ireland, we've a horrible history with Everton's medical staff. And they hate us and we hate them for not releasing players. So like for the fact that we have a player in our club that would basically say, I don't really care about the money right now. I want to be there for my nation, I think is something we should be applauded, even though we are, of course, Manchester United fans and he plays for England. So, like, stuff like that I think is beautiful. But I think on a whole, the majority of players are there for just the paycheck at the end of the day and the credibility of playing for a top club. But it's the magic is kind of dying a little bit. But still, we still love it.
I love how you've managed to bring Ireland up when they ain't even playing in any competitions. But regardless, regardless. No, regardless.
Okay.
Anyway,
Bit of a dig.
Just got to remind everyone, it is coming home. It is coming home. Just wanted to remind everyone. Look, people are saying it in chat, and I have taken note. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted about Arsenal, who are going really in on Manuel Locatelli, and obviously this isn't an Arsenal channel, but Locatelli is obviously someone we've been linked to and someone who I think has just been admired a lot. And, we were having conversations earlier about how we've not necessarily been linked to many DMs, concrete links. Is this not the kind of player we should be going for?
I feel like you should always be careful with, there always is I think I said before the Euro started that you always see there's a breakout star at the Euros or the World Cup that always gets targeted and then you don't know how it's going to work out. I feel like Italians in the Premier League have quite often failed. I mean, obviously you have had some that have been brilliant, like the likes of Zola and Graziano Pelle as well as another one.
You're going back a bit farther.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit quite far back, and I feel like I don't know if it's just because the difference is because obviously Serie A is a bit of a slower league than the Premier League, or what it is. Maybe they just don't take to England as well. But I do feel like it's quite a risk. We saw from a Man United perspective with Darmian that it didn't really work out that well with how big of a prospect he was seen as. But obviously you will get people now, if Arsenal sign him, that like, oh my God, why didn't we sign him, etc. But they did the same with Partey, and then that hasn't turned out too brilliant and stuff, has it? So we just need to be careful. But it is sort of the player we should be targeting, so it is a bit surprising, and we probably will be linked with him close to the time to panic Arsenal into paying. But
I would say on Locatelli, it's the same in Germany with Bayern, the same in Italy with Juventus. If they don't want them, probably not as good as we all think they are. So we could. I kind of agree with Alex saying we could be dodging a bullet. I think he's very good. I've only really seen him in the Euros and once or twice outside of that. But on Football Manager, he's excellent. So
but that's what you have to be careful with as well. Of looking brilliant at international level doesn't always translate over, and vice versa. Obviously on the Sancho side of things, some people are surprised about him not playing for England, but if you actually watch all the England games when Sancho's played for England, he hasn't been that amazing. So, but then obviously for Dortmund, he's brilliant, and it could be the same with Locatelli. I haven't seen him for his club, but he's been brilliant for Italy, but that doesn't necessarily translate over into being brilliant at club level.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. We've just had loads of super chats coming in. So thank you guys. A late night show. It's been a big day. I'm sure a lot of people are starting to wind down now. It's easy to lose your energy. We have Kevin who's coming in, said, big up the channel from Dublin. Hey, guys, he's from Ireland. You guys, right? Sancho is a massive signing. Can't wait for next season. We got someone called Glazer's out. Is Sancho really a right winger? And we just had another super chat that said, what? Sancho, Rashford, Cavani, deadly, right? Look, Sancho he can play right wing. He can play right wing. And if we're looking at the actual football side of things, he does play a lot on the left at Dortmund. But if you actually, take the time to watch Dortmund, watch Sancho, he's the kind of player where, there's freedom of movement there, right? Where he can start on the right, but he will drift out left. He will come centrally. He can play out on the right. And the big thing with Sancho that I'm really looking forward to is we've struggled to break down low blocks. You know what I mean? You look at that European final where, we're struggling to break down blocks. And even though I think there are coaching issues there where our build-up shape is poor and whatnot, Sancho's the kind of player where he can break a low block because he will just take on a player one-on-one and win. Do you know what I mean? And he is a creative spark where, we have players with plenty of class, plenty of talent, but we don't necessarily have that guy that's just going to take on someone one-on-one. Rashford can do it, but he doesn't always do it. Sancho, he can really do it. Do you know what I mean? And so, if you're worried about Sancho not being able to play on the right, trust me, he can play on the right. And he's going to build such a good relationship with Wan-Bissaka. I really do believe that. I really think that, it's going to really advance and help Sancho's game because it's going to be hard for him, right? He's coming to a new league that's a lot more of a physical league. Let's say he does, have a couple stinkers, he loses the ball here and there. you know, he has one of the best defensive right backs behind him to help cover. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Sancho's going to come in and instantly be like Bruno and completely dominate, but I am really optimistic that he's going to work really well, especially off that right hand side. I don't know how you feel about him though, Jay.
On Sancho,
that was you this time, Jay.
That was Jay.
I'm the bigger Jay. I think we should go big J, small J. I'm sorry, now, but that's how we should roll here.
I've seen your Instagram, and I'm fine with that. That's
yeah.
But look, on Sancho, last season, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure somebody, if I am wrong, I'll be corrected in the free seats. 36 goal involvements last season in the Bundesliga, in a Dortmund team that stuttered and stammered all season, and I thought were actually quite poor. They play a very fluid front three, so Sancho was liable to pop up. He actually often popped up at CDM, so he's not your atypical out-and-out old-school right winger that's going to spend the entire game literally hugging the touchline, waiting to be the fullback and knock a ball in. He will cut in from the left or the right, and he can play both positions. So, back to what you said, Levin, I think a lot of fan base are expecting Sancho to come in the first 6-7 games and be knocking in goals and assists. And if he doesn't, wait for your Twitter timeline to be lit up with 80 million wasted money, what's he at, blah, 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 blah. Like, he's coming from the Bundesliga, entirely different style of football to what we play in the Premiership. He will take time to adapt to the hustle and bustle of the Premiership, no doubt. And I think he's going to need at least until Christmas to bed in. So I think as the fan base, need to give that young lad time and patience to bed in between August and Christmas. I really think we do. But you got to judge Sancho, I think, really next season. It's why he does next season. If he comes in this season, gets involved in 10, 12 goals, I'm happy with that. I think next season, then you will see the real Jadon Sancho for me.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a duty as a fan base, right? Because, like you sort of alluded to, people are going to come for him. You know what I mean? Like, if Sancho ain't pop, because the thing is about Sancho is that as much as he might not be that guy to come in and do that, you know, if you look at the stats, you know, per 90 assists in the top 99th percentile, right? Like, he will pump out numbers. Do you know what I mean? If you look at his numbers, you know, the players that he's compared to statistically, it's crazy. You know, the likes of Grealish, right, who's an amazing player, the likes of even Messi and all of these other players who will just have crazy stats. But we have a duty of care to protect him from the media who will come from, and protect him from people in our fan base who might not be too fond or who might be thinking, oh, we waited all this time for him to just, you know, not even be lighting up the world. Like, we got to protect him as a fan base. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, the United Stand Army, we can do that because, you know, he deserves an opportunity to get the time to prove himself. And because he's shown, you know, on different stages in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga, whatever you think of that league, that he has the talent and the ability to be a world-class player, potentially. You know what I mean?
Levin, just to touch on something that we were we're about to discuss earlier on, but where do we think this leaves Martial? Because I got to the hot topics now.
You brought that back, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't letting that one slip. Because I personally, I don't think this is a good signing for him because he doesn't do well with when big players come in. Like, historically, whenever he's seen as the main man and no one can take that off him, he'll have a good season. So I don't actually think this will go well for him. But I would also kind of be against selling him because I do think there is still one last season where we can see, can we get something from him. But it seems maybe that the writing's on the door, but I don't know where the lads stand on it.
Well, I want to give the floor to Alex because, Alex, you were the one that sort of brought it up at first, right? And I want to know how you sort of feel about the Martial situation with players coming in.
It's a hard one. I personally, I might be in the minority, but I wouldn't sell him. I would give him one more chance. I think he's obviously been posting loads of pictures of him like working out and stuff over pre-season, saying that he's working really hard to get back to his best. He did look a bit leaner. I know that's the thing some people said before, that maybe he put on too much muscle trying to convert himself to a striker. And then he's now going back to like being a winger. I think like long term, I think Ollie sees maybe Greenwood as more of his long-term striker than Martial. So we could have a situation now of the new season of how you have Sancho and Ahmad on the right-hand side battling it out, Greenwood and Cavani up front, and then Rashford and Martial. And then listen, if Martial plays to his best, he's easily good enough to be starting week in, week out for us. It's just if he gets back to how he was playing the season before, he links up our play so well when he's fully on it. And even as a striker, he did do brilliant the season before last. I just feel like in terms of what I personally like anyway with United is that I thought Cavani was just, when he came in, he was just showing levels to all of our players, including Greenwood and Rashford when he's played up front as well. But I don't know what you guys think. I know a lot of people want to sell him, but I just feel like he's so talented, and that if he did go to another club, it could be one like how a lot of people think it was the wrong decision to sell Memphis. I feel like with Martial, if he goes somewhere else, I really think he'll tear it up. Because if he is because I think his attitude is that he always needs to be loved, it seems.
Yeah.
So if he goes to a new club and he is adored, he is made the absolute main man, I think he really will tear it up.
Sorry, Jay, I know you want to go as well. I just need to come in on that. First of all, we were dead right to get rid of Memphis, and he has done nothing at all to prove to me that he is in any way near the quality for a Premier League player.
Let's not talk about Memphis, man. Let's not talk about Memphis.
Exactly.
I just needed to throw that in there. But I think what you're saying there, Alex, I get what you're saying, needs to be loved, and if he's seen it the main man, he can do great things, but there's no top six club that are seeing that in him. Whenever we are sending him out, it's always Spurs, who are borderline top six club. Let's be honest, it's always Spurs. You look at the top recruiters, I would say the top recruiting club in the country, which is Leicester. Even looking for a loan where we'd obviously pay most of it, there's no interest there. Okay, so for me, if we're going Premier League, it's going to go way down. If someone's going from, obviously wages is a problem there. If he goes to Italy, who cares? Who cares about the numbers in the Premier League, in Serie A? They're so slow. He'll do great. He'll do nothing in Europe, though. Do you know what I mean? He'll rack up 25 goals, and Martial FC will be like, "Oh, we were wrong. We shouldn't have get him." Look what Ashley Young did there. Ashley Young won the Serie A. Victor Moses is doing great things out there. Darmian's doing great things out there. It's a retirement home. It's the MLS of Europe. If we send him anywhere, he'll rack up numbers, but it won't matter.
Behave. Ashley Young is class. Ashley Young, best fullback in the world, man. Relax, behave. Behave.
All right, okay. But if the only way at that point that you're saying that he could be proven that he is arm around him, top quality player, is if anyone from top six were like, "Oh, there's a sniff, let's get him. He could do something." There's no one. If he was to leave us, maybe Spurs. Outside of that, you're looking at Italy, you're looking at Spain, where he'll rack up numbers, but it really doesn't matter.
Jay, you want to get in on that?
Yeah, certainly. I would take a lot of points that you both made. The first problem, obviously, is the wages. He's on $250,000 per week. And let's be fair, I don't see any Italian or Spanish club paying him that kind of money. Maybe PFG would, but PFG wouldn't touch a player of the caliber of Anthony Martial. They wouldn't go near him. Current market value.
They went for Moise Keane.
That's what I was going to say about Moise Keane.
Current market value for Martial. The club won't let him go for less than 50 million. Who's going to pay that for him? I don't think anybody. So this season, I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. For me, he's drinking from the last chance saloon. It's a case this season, Anthony, put up or shut up. You're not in the same league as Cavani. Mason is now ahead of you in the pecking order. So as I see it, you've got a 5-year place out in the left wing with Marcus. Now, fortuitously for Anthony Martial, Rashford is going for an operation after the Euros, which I would imagine will keep him out for the first couple of weeks of the season. So it's wide open. Martial will start on the left, and it's there for him to make the spot his own. And then Greenwood will have to fight his way back. So I think it's fantastic that we've got two extremely talented players that could spend next season fighting it out to play wide in the left. I think it's fantastic. Like back in the glory days, we had Sheringham, Solskjaer, York and Cole all fighting out for 2 spots up top. So I think if anything, you strengthen your first 11 and then you strengthen your bench. So keep Martial for 1 season and then make a judgment call.
Well, we got Wayne coming in with a super chat again saying Martial needs lesser games. Sancho is ideal for him. I saw Neil in chat say Martial's way better than Mason. Are you being serious? And I think regardless of whether that's true or not, I do believe that's true. I think up front at the moment, Martial probably, assuming he's healthy, is the better strike option at the moment. but that's not, that's not the problem, right? I think long term, you look at Mason developing into the better number 9. I have never been a massive fan of Martial anyway, but I do feel like after the season he had before last season, he deserves the right to come back in and fight for that spot. And I do think he'll get that chance. I genuinely do. Even with Rashford being out, wherever, let's say Rashford wasn't out, I do think Ollie would give him game time and play him up front ahead of Cavani in certain fixtures. I do believe a healthy Martial gets the chance to prove that he's worthy of staying. Because, we're all talking about how Cavani is going to leave at the end of the season. We're going to bring in a striker and then it'll be that striker and Mason. Martial, I'll be looking at that thinking, no, it's going to be me and Mason. I'm going to fill that spot. You know what I mean? And I think he deserves the chance to prove that. And like you guys have said, no one's going to... We've given him such high salary. We're not offloading him. Realistically, we're not offloading him. And if we are offloading Martial, it's there are a couple other players I can look at in the squad and say we should probably be offloading them before we're looking at offloading Martial. Martial can actually be useful to us next season. Regardless of what you think of him, he can be incredibly useful to us next season. Whereas there's other people on the wage bill who probably can't. Super chat from, it's not even much of a super chat. Well, we got some a kind donation from Spencer. Didn't add a message, but we appreciate it nonetheless. Guys, I'll be honest, we're running up to that 1 hour mark. And I know these shows always hit an hour. The fan forum shows always hit an hour. We always spit facts. I want to get some final words from everyone on the whole Jadon Sancho thing. Just in general, how you feel about it. What are you looking forward to most, right? Tell me the one thing you're looking forward to most with Jadon Sancho. We'll start off with you, Alex.
Well, to be honest, just the first game in pre-season, because obviously it's all in England. So at least with the time difference, all of us will be able to watch all the games. I feel like because he won't even be back from the Euros till I think it's 11th of July. He might join up with the squad later. And it is crazy when you think about it. I might be wrong, but off the top of my head, I think our first game is 18th of July. So it could roll around really soon. But obviously I feel like Bruno, Pogba, all the English players will join up later. So we might have to wait a little bit longer. But yeah, just seeing him in pre-season for the first time is going to be awesome. And I'm excited for the official announcement with all the pictures and everything.
No, I think that first, them preseason games, they're gonna cause for excitement, 100%. Jay, I'll give you the chance to respond to this super chat and then give your sort of final thoughts on the Sancho thing. What you're looking forward to next?
Okay, Gary Turner. The only problem I see with that, Jay, I was around the time of your coach, Eris Colonole, but today players won't stand for that. They want to be number 1. Okay, that's all well and good, but for me, over the last couple of seasons, what has Martial done to prove that he can be number 1 ahead of Cavani? For me, he hasn't done enough. That's my answer to that. So if you do it in the pitch and you improve yourself, yeah, you're number 1. But for me, he hasn't done enough. That's my response to that.
Okay, well, and what are you most excited about now moving forward? Now that the Sancho deal's done.
Okay, just in the context of Jadon Sancho, we've said many times this season that we've been dead on the right-hand side, and the full-back will just stand for yards off Aaron Wan-Bissaka, knowing full well that he's not going to get a cross to come in. So now you're going to see a full-back being dragged over to the byline, and you're going to see a big gap between a full-back centre-half and that space that I think Cavani and Bruno Fernandes will exploit. So I'm looking forward to see even teams to sit back on a low block. When you've got a dual threat both on your left and your right, I don't think back fours can be as compact against us as they once were. So it's going to be more space for my man Bruno and for Cavani.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I can definitely see a lot of space being exploited there. Oh my goodness. Morad said, what about Meet Me? I thought we were going to go the whole show without anyone mentioning Daniel James, and I was so fine with that. I was so fine with that, but somebody had to ruin it.
Was a wreck, wasn't it?
You had to. This is burner account. This is burner
Trick
account.
burner phone,
You had to ruin it, man. Flipping out. Look, Joe, final words from you on the Sancho deal. What are you most excited about moving forward now?
Just the general excitement of having someone who's a natural right winger playing right wing, because obviously Greenwood was more so filling in than anything else. I mean, he did a very good job, but he's a natural centre forward. The same with Rashford. So someone who's naturally in that position, who just has bags of potential and bags of goals and assists that he can bring to us. I'm absolutely on board with Jay saying give him a bit of time. I'm obviously as equally hoping that he will just hit the ground running, and he just wants to be here. He's wanted to be here for the past 2 years, and he just, I'm just excited for him to make Theatre of Dreams his home, and we should all be very, very excited, and no one should be suffering from Sancho fatigue, because this is what dreams are made of, baby. He's number 7 and he's bringing it back.
I like that. I like that. Wayne came with a final super chat of the day, I'm assuming, saying JS is fire. Guys, if you're watching the video after the stream, comment down below JS7 on top. That's what I want to see in the comment section down below. Guys, it's been Levin, been here with Alex, Jay, and Joe. Hope you guys enjoyed this show. We'll be back another time. See you all tonight.